Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about Trump's big, beautiful bill. I mean, maybe the best bill. I don't know. Maybe the best bill which has ever passed. Maybe. But we're going to be talking about that and what its effects are. It has passed the Senate. It has not passed the U.S. House of Representatives yet. It could be very close in the House. There's some talk that some Republicans will not vote for it. We'll see. But I just wanted to go over the Senate version of it right now because I thought the Senate version of it was atrocious already. It's already terrible. Importantly, here. First, we start with the big one Medicaid funding cuts. As Republicans, this is from CNBC. As Republicans seek to slash federal spending, Medicaid, which provides health coverage for more than 71 million people. 71 million people, that's nearly a third of the country. I think it's a little bit less, maybe a fourth. Anyway, more than 71 million people has been a target for those cuts in both House and Senate versions of the bill. Remember when he said he's not going to cut Medicaid? He's not going to touch Medicaid? Well, here he is cutting Medicaid. The Senate version would cut more than $1 trillion from Medicaid. $1 trillion from Medicaid. They're cutting $1 trillion from Medicaid. Compared to more than 800 billion in cuts in the House version. Man, making the House version look fucking liberal over here with only 800 billion in cuts and you got 1 trillion. They wanted to round out that number there for the amount of people who are going to suffer from it. Yeah, I can only imagine Trump's reasoning for that. Maybe he called senators and he was like, I don't know, I think $1 trillion. We make it 1 trillion, that will be better. That will look very nice, very clean. But 800 billion people look at that, they say that's a bad bill. That's a very bad bill. Yeah. So, $1 trillion in cuts for Medicaid. Largest cut in its history. I'm pretty certain. Insane. Insanity. I mean, people are 71 million people. 71 million people. $1 trillion cut. I'm sure that won't affect anyone. And some people are talking about how, oh, it's not a cut. It's only going to matter if because of the work requirements. Because they're adding work requirements, as you can see. New federal work requirements would require beneficiaries aged 19 to 64 who apply for coverage who are enrolled through the Affordable Care Act expansion group to work at least 80 hours per month. So some Republicans are like, it's not going to cut it. Only 80, if you work 80 hours a month, you still have it. No, it's going to cut $1 trillion from it. Everyone else has to work 80 hours a month. So if you're the people who still get it, 80 hours a month. Adults may be exempt from this to children, blah, 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 blah. And the CBO, Congressional Budget Office, bipartisan Congressional Budget Office, they're usually the people who try and rationalize the bills that get passed. They're like, well, here's in reality what the bill is going to look like. They're not pulling any punches. About 7.8 million people could be uninsured by 2034 due to Medicaid cuts. And that's a low number. Some reports say 12, 20, 29 million people. 29 million people because of this. So that's Medicaid. I mean, it's atrocious. It's atrocious. I mean, this is the destruction of our social safety net. I mean, we had a poor one to begin with, but just $1 trillion in cuts, and we'll get into what that's going towards. Because don't get it wrong. This isn't just cutting essential programs. They're putting this money elsewhere. This isn't saving money. Okay. Another huge thing, reduced food stamp benefits. Both Senate and House versions of the Big Beautiful Bill propose cuts to food assistance through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, formerly known as food stamps. The cuts in the Senate bill may ultimately affect more than 40 million people. You have to imagine 40 million people that 40 million people is definitely going to overlap with that 71 million. It's the same types of people that need it. So not only are some of these people going to lose all their health care, they're also going to lose some SNAP benefits, or a lot of SNAP benefits, or their SNAP benefits is going to be reduced. What a terrible, terrible time to be someone with low income. I mean, this is it's already the worst income inequality in history. But this is just going to make it actual hell for people. This is going to make it incredibly tough for people to survive. And you know what? I think it's going to come back to bite Republicans in the ass, because these people are going to come out to vote with a vengeance. They're going to come out to vote with a vengeance. And Trump definitely has people who are on the poorer end of the spectrum. Affects more than 40 million people, according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. That includes about 16 million children, 8 million seniors, and 4 million non-elderly adults with disabilities, among others, according to CBPP, a nonpartisan research and policy institute. Many states would be required to pay a percentage for food benefits to make up for the federal funding cuts. If they cannot make up for the funding losses, that could result in cuts to SNAP benefits or states opting out of the program altogether, according to CBPP. I want to point out, this isn't a conditional either. See, this article kind of makes it seem like, well, if states can't make up for it, then there'll be funding cuts. But no, if you go over here, also CNBC article, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, may be cut by about 30%. This is what is predicted. 30% under the terms of the bill, which would be the biggest cut in the program's history, according to Ty? How do you have a first name with 2 letters? Ty Jones Cox, Vice President for Food Assistance Policy at the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. 30% is what's estimated. That is the prediction. Also 40 million people, so it kind of goes over again. Yet cuts to the program proposed by the House, which would shrink the program's funding by $300 billion through 2034. Would put those benefits at risk. Another huge cut to one of the most important policies we have here in the United States. One of the most important. And it's not even as good as it could be. It's already struggling, especially after COVID, with millions of people who needed it more. Right? Already struggling. Now it's being cut by $300 billion over the course of the next 10-ish, 8-ish years. That's another huge takeaway from Trump's bill. Another interesting takeaway is down here, I believe. Let's see. Well, here's one. EV clean energy tax credits. This is also going to get rid of those, the tax credits, which are being used for clean energy, which also is going to affect a bunch of Republican states. Tom Tillis came out, and that's why he voted against it, partially. Not only because of the Medicaid cuts, but because North Carolina specifically, because of the Inflation Reduction Act, not an act I'm particularly a fan of, but it did provide a lot of green energy funding. This would basically cut that. So it would end a 7,500 tax credit for households that buy or lease a new electric vehicle, and a $4,000 tax credit for buyers of used EVs. These tax credits would disappear after September 30th, 2025. Disappear. They're gone. And this is, this isn't even sustainable. This isn't even like pro-America sustainable. The fact is we're already struggling to get oil. Trump has talked about that. We're in an energy crisis, he says. He says we're in an energy crisis. One way to deal with that, have more electric cars on the road and more people can get gas. Because less people are using gas, so there's more for everyone else. But no, we're getting rid of these tax credits. Gas is going to be more expensive because now more people are going to buy it than before. Than before. Additionally, it would scrap tax breaks for consumers who make their homes more energy efficient, perhaps by installing rooftop solar, electric heat pumps, or efficient windows and doors. Another massive cut here. One of the best things Biden did, as you can see, Inflation Reduction Act, a law signed by former President Joe Biden, it provided historic U.S. investment to fight climate change. Yeah, it's historic, but it also was kind of pathetic in the long run. Okay, it really wasn't. It was $400 billion, but that's not nearly enough. But anyway, it was something, and now it's just that's also being cut. That's all from this article. But there's some more over here. So here is where the funding is going. Here's where it's going. You know, that $1 trillion from Medicaid, it's not being cut for no reason. See, no. Trump's got a plan. He's got a plan. He knows exactly where this is going. The legislation includes more than $4.6 billion for border wall construction and related expenses. $45 billion to expand detention capacity for immigrants in custody. Another $30 billion in funding for hiring, training, and other resources for U.S. immigration and customs enforcement. He's putting $120 billion into immigration. $120 million in immigration. I just realized I don't even know if this article has exactly what I'm looking for. I don't think it does. We'll get to that in a minute with the military. Because this isn't the military. This is not more military funding. This is Homeland Security funding. $4.6 billion for border wall construction. By the way, most legal immigrants get here through visas. They get here legally. The wall would stop absolutely nothing. Anyway, more detention centers, because that's what we need to spend more money on is detention centers. We can't keep deporting people to El Salvador. We should just have concentration camps here. Save on those plane tickets. Yeah, and then $3 billion for hiring more. Oh yeah, more ICE agents. That's what we need. And this part really stuck out to me. It also includes a minimum $100 fee for those seeking asylum. That's illegal. That's illegal. International law says that's illegal. Of course, international law doesn't apply to the United States. We're not a part of the Rome Agreement. We don't obey international law. Minimum $100 fee for those seeking asylum, down from $1,000 fee outlined in the House bill. These people are going to they're going to say, oh, well, first off, seeking asylum. Hey, these people are trying to kill me. I need to come into your country so that I don't die. Yeah, sure thing. Just $100, please. That'll be $100. Imagine if the police did that. You call them, you have to wire them money before they come over. I mean, it's incredibly cruel and inhumane. No one's going to be able to afford that. No one's going to be able to afford that. Even if they do, who says they have USD? I mean, just cruel. Another way for them to kick out asylum seekers. Of all the immigrants to keep in the United States is the asylum seekers. Because they're seeking asylum, which means they need help from something. Like the cartels. But nope, send them right on back. Yeah. So that's what they're spending some of it on. They're also spending it on the military. The big, beautiful bill in the Senate. Here it is. Senate passes Trump's major policy bill with $150 billion to the DoD. $150 billion. That makes it $1 trillion in spending for the Pentagon. $1 trillion in spending for the Pentagon. The 940-page One Big Beautiful Bill Act, they actually changed that. Chuck Schumer, of course, in his, ability to make it look like he actually does things when he doesn't actually. He changed the name of the bill. He used the Byrd Act which is a Senate Rules Act, and he's like, they can't be called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act for some reason. I don't know. So now it's just called the Act. The official name of the bill is the Act. That is an article. I saw an article. It is just called the Act. Anyway, so the 940 page The Act also featured $150 billion in funding for the military, which would go towards shipbuilding, the Golden Dome Homeland Missile Defense Project, munitions, and other key priorities. $100 billion. $150 billion more. $150 billion more for the United States military. Who are we fighting? Who are we fighting? Iran? Is that what this is for? Who are we fighting? We just saw how pathetic that military parade was. Jon Stewart described it, if I'm not mistaken, as more of a old military, not a new military, showing off its new assets and all its cool tech, but a military just, getting an old military getting its steps in, which is true. Parts of the military are underfunded, particularly the humanitarian parts and paying people good wages and the healthcare part of it. But the weapon systems, well, that gets a lot of money. The weapon systems get a lot of money, not the people in the military. Unless the other people get paid first. So boosted up to $1 trillion. There it is. Our military budget is now $1 trillion. Why? I don't know. You'd figure maybe that would happen during wartime, which I guess if you could count Iran. But we're not going to Iran. Trump hasn't said we're going into Iran. So either way you look at this, it's not good. Either we're going into another country, or we're just spending $150 billion more for some reason. You want to talk about waste, fraud, and abuse. You want to talk about finding fraud in our federal government. There it is. DOD spending $150 billion more on it for more military. Yeah, we need more guns. That's really what Trump said. You know what we really need? You know what the country really needs right now? More military. That'll solve our problems. So those are the main highlights of Trump's big beautiful bill. Possibly one of the worst pieces of legislation ever passed. I mean, this is like right up there behind like the Fugitive Slave Act. I mean, this is just going to hurt millions and millions and millions of people. It's going to hurt millions and millions and millions of people. The separate but equal laws, Jim Crow laws, the Alien Enemies Act. This is like going to be up there as one of the worst pieces of legislation ever passed, and it's going to hurt Republicans in the midterms. It's going to hurt Republicans in the midterms. Even so much that Susan Collins didn't vote for it. This was a 51-50 vote. You had people like Susan Collins of Maine with a 14% approval rating. Susan Collins of Maine has a 14% approval rating. How do you even do that? I don't even know how you do that. 14%. And also, who are those 14% of people? You know those people are people who don't pay attention to politics. Congratulations, your only support in the Senate, or your only support for people who are voting for you who know nothing about you. Anyway, even she had to vote against this. Even she had voted against this. Tom Tillis voted against this. Rand Paul, if I'm not mistaken, voted against this. You had a bunch of people come out of the woodworks, Republicans, to vote against this bill. Lisa Murkowski did end up voting for it. It was passed, of course, by Mr. Vance. And if Vance runs in 2028, they're going to hammer him for that too. Vance has no shot in 2028. No shot in 2028 winning. If this is mentioned, no shot. Republicans have no shot, especially Vance, in 2028. But anyway, that's what's in the big, beautiful bill, which was just passed in the Senate. Now goes to the House. Supposed to pass by the 4th of July, but highly, highly doubt it's going to do that. Maybe it'll fail. That would be fantastic. Maybe it'll fail. But anyway, that's the big, beautiful bill.